How's it going? It's Leo. People always ask me why I carry around such a big phone. I mean, can your phone play GameCube and Wii games and watch Netflix all at the same time? Didn't think so.
Who doesn't love a good console interface? I mean, I get it, having a console is meant for gaming, but what's the harm in watching a little YouTube on your Xbox 360 every once in a while? So, with the advent of a new generation of consoles on the horizon, we're going to take a look at one of the more underappreciated aspects of console design, their interface. And then I'll say my favorite from each generation. You'd be hard-pressed to find a console from before the 5th generation that adequately used a modern interface. Yeah, I guess you could technically call the Philips CDI 205 startup a user interface, the same way I would technically call spending 7 hours editing a video living. No, the real modern console user interface was pioneered by the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation 1. The Saturn's user interface had so much love poured into it. You've got this neat little space graphic playing in the background, you can change the language, and you even get this option to hide the menu while playing music to get this cool little ship flying animation. PlayStation unapologetically gave us some blue orbs and a sad excuse for a Jackson Pollock painting for the menu design. What a terribly disappointing first outing for Sony. Yeah, you could still play CDs and check your memory card from the menu, but what's the point if it looks like this? Clearly, Sega takes the cake here for my favorite. I mean, can you even call the PS1's attempts at a user interface a competition? Up next is the 6th generation of consoles. Now, this is where everybody really steps up their game. This is no longer the days of old where you just pop in your games and play. Now is the time for some personality to shine through the console market. To clarify, pretty much every console this generation had these same features for their menu with a few exceptions. Every console could check your saves and change some minor options, along with playing music with the exception of the GameCube. Thankfully, Sony learnt their lesson with their second outing and gave us a user interface that was much better. The opening gave the feel of a space aesthetic, with a menu that was very simple yet pleasing. You've got these little orbs flying around you when you choose an option, and the sound effects are pretty hard to forget. You know what is forgettable, however? The Sega Dreamcast's interface. Look, I know they were going for a dreamy look with all the clouds and the very soft design, but it's so forgettable that I actually forgot Sega even had a console this generation. It's either that or the fact that it only sold 9 million units. Yikes. Anyways, the user interface is fairly pleasing to look at and well designed, but it's just not very memorable. What was I talking about again?
Do you love the color green? Well, I certainly do, and luckily the original Xbox has us green fans covered in that department.
Oh my gosh, it feels like I got Nickelodeon slime in my eyes. The original Xbox menu was never much of a looker. It's just so green. Like, yeah, I get you were trying to stand out from the crowd as a new console, but why choose puke green as the color for your system's identity? Obviously, the Xbox was trying to play to the cooler crowd because nothing says cool like a big green X. On an unrelated note, the Xbox I own had been used before, so obviously when I booted up it still had all the previous owner's songs on it. I'd say this playlist is the perfect encapsulation of what the Xbox menu was trying to go for. Early 2000s cool dad vibes. Last but not least, the GameCube. Now, I've already given my opinion on this certain user interface, so I'll try and keep it brief. The GameCube's menu is so nice and such a good design. Now, it was unable to play CDs, but honestly it doesn't suffer too much from this menu feature. As a quick reminder, game consoles are meant to play games, not following by Alicia Keys. Now it comes down to this. What console interface is my favorite from this generation? Well, the Dreamcast is too forgettable, the PlayStation is a little too simple for my liking, and the Xbox is very green, so clearly the best one has the most cubes. I'm sorry, but the GameCube's interface is still by far the most memorable in a good way. The whole cube theme works wonders, and even the background music is pretty soothing. Although the GameCube was the best, a lot of companies brought their A game with these interface designs. Okay, so the 7th generation is where console interfaces start to get kinda crazy. See, there's this thing, it really started getting popular in the late 2000s. It's, oh shoot, what is it? It's the internet. With the internet, consoles could get menus they've always dreamt about, with access to YouTube, Netflix, Twitter, online stores. Heck, why even buy a computer when I can just buy Explosion Man without even leaving my house? With this in the next generation, the features become a little more different with each console, so I'll have to go over some of the more notable features for each interface. First up is... name a more iconic console menu. Everybody and their mother knows the Wii menu, and for good reason. It's so simple yet understandable to any number of people. You got your game at the top left, tons of killer apps below it like the Wii Shop channel and the Classic Weather channel. Now, unfortunately, some of these services are, yeah, the Wii menu was mostly destroyed, with Nintendo stopping most Wi-Fi connectability a while ago. Regardless, this is one killer user interface from Nintendo. Now, if you are a fan of green, then I'm so sorry, but the Xbox 360 has done away with that rockin' 2000s ad vibe in favor of a more modern look. Now, the 360 has had a lot of design changes over the years, but I'm just going to talk about the most current one because that's the one I get the displeasure of looking at every time I boot the console up. I'm gonna be blunt here. The Xbox 360 has a great user interface that is held back by one huge flaw: the advertisements. The 360 menu could be boiled down to a game and Netflix machine, but a large majority of the screen is dedicated to saving $125 in Xbox credit or amazing Call of Duty Ghost deals. I've never seen anybody actually ever click on these advertisements Microsoft peddles. Don't get me wrong, the menu looks great, it's just I can't get past the 25 ads they push at me per hour. Finally, we have the PS3, who decided to take a very simple approach to a user interface. You've got a nice calm background, a sleek design, and...
It's boring.
Yes, the PS3 has a very elegant design for its menu, but it's just so forgettable. At least Microsoft had the decency to throw some ads in my face, Sony just gave us a line and a solid color background. It's got most of the features other consoles have, it's just so boring. So the 360 and PS3 have some great designs and some awesome features for their interfaces, but I think the obvious choice for the best menu has to go to the Wii. The other two are fine, but my grandmother could probably describe a Wii menu and she barely knows how to use a computer. The Wii user interface perfectly combines simplicity with a great design. Finally, we're at the present era of consoles, where user interfaces should be better than ever, right?
I've got some bad news.
These console home screens are just so boring. They've all got the same bland color backgrounds with boxes for ads and games. The PS4, Xbox One, and Switch all look and function extremely similar, with the only standout being the Wii U of all things for expanding off of what the Wii did. Even then, they're all extremely bland. Say what you will about the previous consoles, but at least they put some effort into making their hardware into a personality. Not you. I'd even go back to the green days of old with the original Xbox. Sure, it was completely disgusting, but at least I can remember what it was trying to go for. What's memorable about some boring, sleek, standard design? Yeah, they're all functional, but what's the point if I don't get to see any cubes or spaceships?
Console interfaces have been through a lot, from the generic blandness of the PlayStation to the great amount of cubes inside the GameCube. Hopefully this next generation will get something a little more exciting, or something with more character than the ones we got this year. Ah, hold on. Gotta check the weather here.